right, everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Skyler, and thank you for joining us again on the SRM podcast. Today I have a guest, and he is focused on introverts. So please welcome John Baker. John, how are you doing?
Hi, Skyler. I'm good, thank you. Very good indeed.
So you have a company, right? And it's introverting in business.
Yep, that's right. And so what I do, I focus on supporting introverts that are working in business, particularly those that run their own business, and more especially with people who are leaders in business that have the way I would look at it is have a productivity problem. They just don't know it. And the common reason for that is because they don't really understand introversion. The statistics are that 30 to 50% of most teams, or any team, are going to be introverts, and yet we have a Western business model, if I can put it like that, which is extrovert driven.
And so you work with leaders and you help them make the best out of their team. Describe a little more of what you do with companies.
Sure. So obviously, it's going to depend on the issue that they have and what they're trying to achieve. One of the big things I work as predominantly as a coach, and often as a speaker. But when I'm working with a company, it's very much about understanding the issues within their firm, and helping them to do it in a way that suits them. But typically, that's going to be working one-to-one, sometimes with the guy in charge, so that we can, over a period of time, help to make her realise the issues that the team have around them and how to upskill all the teams so they can all work more effectively together.
Right. And how long ago did you start doing this?
So I started coaching. I started my own business about 15 years ago now. And over time, there's been kind of two or three of us, and then I sold part of my old business to my business partner, and so now I just work on my own. And I started to focus on introverts about 2 years ago.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, you used to work for or at coaching type of thing. I ask you this, is there an overlapping of anything like communication in companies today?
I think that one of the biggest problem areas that companies have is within communications, and I see that time and time again in many, many firms. So yeah, overlapping, not enough or too much. And in fact, you've probably found it yourself, Skyler, when you've been at work, where somebody will say, I haven't been told that, and other people will be saying, I've heard it 20 times, and so they've had the message too often. So that to me says communication does overlap and there is a problem.
Right. And so on a COVID note, people today would probably think, or introverts today, I should say, would probably think that being locked down is a good thing, but do they really think that?
So I'm absolutely sure that, first of all, that many introverts prefer the idea of working at home to being forced to being in a meeting room all day long, or in a loud, noisy office where it's open plan, etc. However, there's an idea going around that lockdown is the time of the introvert and working from home is something all introverts love to do. I think, and by the research I've done, that is just not the case. So first of all, introverts, in the same way as extroverts, we are humans, and as a result of that, we need social contact. We need to spend time with other people. So it's not any different. We might spend our time with people in different ways, and we might have the need to spend time in different amounts, but we still want to spend time with people. So the idea that being at home is a good thing for introverts is not true. Secondly, the problem I said about productivity earlier, which is largely down to communications and culture in the company, is in most firms made worse by remote working. Because let's be honest, I've never met anybody yet who says, oh yes, I'm really looking forward to going to a meeting. Because the meetings in most companies are ineffective waste of time for at least half the audience, if not all of the audience. And when done online, it tends to be even worse. When done online, you have even more the fact that 2 or 3 of the people in the meeting will never stop talking. 2 or 3 of the people in the meeting will never say enough. And then you've got some stuff going on in the middle, and the agenda, if there was an agenda, quite often wanders off from the place it was meant to be, meaning that nobody's quite sure where the meeting is going, nobody's really committed to any actions, and nobody's really tracking what actions are being committed to. In other words, it was probably a waste of time.
Right. And have you interviewed or surveyed anybody to collect your research?
Yeah, I think one of the really important things when you're doing things like I'm doing is that you've got 2 choices. Well, you've got 3 choices. When you want to make a controversial statement, you can Google it and steal somebody else's words. Never a good idea, by the way. Partly because they're not your words, partly because quite often you Google something and it comes up wrong. I mean, the amount of surveys and things that are quoted on Google that never ever existed is quite shocking, but sometimes the myths just carry on. Second reason for the second method you could just make it up yourself from your own belief, but again, doesn't really work if you suddenly find that your belief was created by your own cognitive bias. So thirdly, and this is the important piece, is to go out and do research. And if you can go out and do your own research, then that's going to give you a much, much better result. So over the last couple of years, I've, as well as just people I've been talking to generally, I've specifically surveyed, researched and interviewed over 350 people on the subject, and that's growing. And I keep inviting, and any of your listeners are very welcome to go to my website, and there's a page called Research. There's a short questionnaire which they can fill in there, and if that leads to us having a discussion as well, that would be absolutely marvellous. I look at this as learning all the time, because I can give you a strict psychological definition of introversion, but you know what matters more is what individuals think and what individuals can and want to do with that definition and their own self-beliefs, because sometimes there's self-beliefs in there that are wrapped up in it, and we go, I can't do that because, well, actually very often people can do that. And so unlocking and understanding self-beliefs is really important.
Okay, and I want to go back to your website one more time.
Okay.
You were talking about that particular page, and I just figured we'd show it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just saying, you mentioned research, and it just suddenly struck me as a point to make there.
Okay. So the research tab is right up here for anybody that goes to his website. And then back to what we were talking about. So in labels, as far as labeling a person, can they be powerful? Can they not be powerful?
Labels are a really interesting thing. I mean, I look at labels a bit like making a cake. You know what? If you want to make a cake, it's really useful if you have labels on your ingredients. So I'll have a label on the plain flour, a label on the butter. But here's the point. That allows me to get the ingredients I need very quickly. But with those ingredients, I can make up any sort of different cake I want by different proportions. So labels, when it comes to people, can be great insofar as it can allow us to quickly come up with some kind of ideas, but big problems with labels. First of all, that they're not, labels don't represent what you are, or what they don't represent what you can be. It's a bit like the cake ingredients. I can pick flour and I can turn flour into any number of things. Having a label can allow me to pick it quickly, but when it comes to the human, having that label, great, I can go, oh, that's an introvert or that's an extrovert. But the key thing is, so what? And the reason I say that is because many people go, oh, I'm just an introvert, or I am shy, or I am any number of labels they want. And by doing so, they then start acting out that, and they won't go beyond the label they've assigned to themselves. So labels can be very good insofar as they can quickly allow us to diagnose, but beyond that, they're very dangerous because they can hold back people's progress.
Right. And we're going to go into, you have a book, and it's called Ninja Networking.
Okay, yeah. So I've written a couple of books, and the Ninja Networking was written because many business owners find that networking is a powerful way to develop their business. Many people in business find networking a powerful way to develop their career. And yet, here's what happens for many, particularly introverts. They think of networking, and you think of this vast room with loads of people standing around, chatting away, and then we go, oh, I don't like standing around chatting away. I don't like that kind of networking meeting. I struggle with it. And for many people, it's not particularly effective. And actually, the point that I really make in the Ninja Networking book is that networking is not about those meetings. Those meetings are just meetings. The point to having a network, it's about developing relationships with people, especially the right people, and focusing on the relationships with the people means that you get the results from the networking. Whereas focusing on feeling comfortable when you go to meetings, or saying the right things in your 30 seconds when you're standing there at breakfast announcing what you're doing in your business, people focus on the wrong things by thinking about networking meetings. So Ninja is all about doing it the quiet way, doing it far more effectively, and really focusing on particularly what introverts are strong at doing, which is developing relationships, probably one-to-one rather than in massive big groups, but developing them and using them and helping other people. So then I wrote the book so that it was, I remember when I was a kid, there's some great storybooks you'd read, and you get to the end of a page and it'd say, what do you want Captain Jack, or whoever the hero was, to do? And if you wanted him to jump off the ship and swim to shore, you'd turn to page 93, and if you wanted him to stay on the boat, you'd turn to page 40. So basically you made up the story and you never read the whole book. So I wrote Ninja Networking just like that, except at the end of each section what we have is a question which is really trying to unlock what you're trying to do with your networking, and depending on what you choose, that's the page it will send you to. So it's not a book that is heavy reading, it's a book that's fairly easy to read, and you don't have to read the whole book.
Right, and this can be found on Amazon by searching Ninja Networking by Mr. John Baker.
That's correct, yeah.
And my opinion as well, I'm sure, I don't know what your opinion is, but happiness is not about the dollar sign. Am I right on that?
So I didn't hear that bit, Skyler.
Oh, I'm sorry. My opinion is happiness is not about the dollar sign. Am I correct on that?
Well, I think for me, you are correct. I think for more people than we can possibly imagine, I think you're absolutely correct. Happiness is about what makes an individual happy. Now, there are some people, let's be honest, that are turned on by and want the latest this, the latest that, and money. So I'm never going to say that money is the wrong thing to chase. If it's really what motivates you, great. But for the vast majority of people, it is not. And I particularly see this in business owners as well. Many people have set up their own business, and I'll make up the numbers here, but let's say they set up their own business and they went, I need to earn $70,000, $100,000 a year, whatever it might be. And they get to that level, and instead of celebrating because they've achieved what they wanted to achieve, somebody else is standing there going, no, you should be earning 250, and you should be driving a Porsche 911, and you should be doing this, and you should be employing 20 people, and you should do this. And there's this whole cycle that goes on where people are forced into believing a whole load of things that is not what they wanted. And so instead of being happy by achieving what they set out to achieve, they're becoming unhappy because they're chasing somebody else's dream. And that is what I would call insane success.
All right. And I believe that is going to be all for today. If you don't have any questions for me.
No, don't have any at all, Skylar. I've enjoyed chatting. Thank you.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming on, and we'll talk a little after. But for anybody else, remember to like, comment, and subscribe or follow. And thank you again for coming on, and I hope you have a great day.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.